But first, imagine you wanted to do something to help one of Australia's poorer nations, say Papua New Guinea, become stronger and more prosperous. Well, here's an idea with merit. What if Australian taxpayers paid for PNG's youngest and brightest students to come here and study at our universities? Then they could go back home and implement what they'd learned to make their own country stronger, more secure and more prosperous. It's a good idea, right? And it's been happening. Under the Foreign Affairs Department, every year, Papua New Guinea's brightest students are invited to apply for scholarships where taxpayers here in Australia would pay for their flights here, pay for their tuition, their living expenses and even their health care. And it's pretty obvious the sorts of things we would train these young people from PNG in. We'd train them in agriculture, in education and in medicine, or at least you would think that's what we would do. The Albanese government, however, in their infinite wisdom, are now strongly urging these young people from PNG to take up these scholarships, not to study education or medicine, but to study gender, disabilities and climate. It's almost like the Albanese government believe PNG needs less doctors, less farmers, less teachers and a lot more unemployed activists. And I suppose if the goal is to help PNG people discover what it's like to be a modern Western nation, that would fit the bill. I always thought foreign aid was about helping your friends, not destroying them. Now, Penny Wong's department, when asked about all of this, said, no, they're still free to study education and medicine. It's just that we're broadening the opportunities for them, Liz. Oh. And they are, and it says it in the handbook, they're strongly encouraging these young people to do gender studies, climate studies. How does that help Papua New Guinea progress as a nation? It's destroying Western nations. Why would PNG students want to study that?
You've got to trust that any students who are hoping, obviously this is a massive opportunity for them to further themselves, they'll be smart enough to say no. But the fact that the government's trying this on is utterly disgusting. When we talk about PNG, we're talking about a country in which over 40% of the population live beneath the internationally recognised poverty line of $2.15 a day. A whopping 67.7% live below what's recognised as, I couldn't believe this is the middle class poverty line of $3.65 a day. And this is how our government is encouraging their young people to dig their country out of this massive generational poverty that's been the state of PNG for countless generations.
It makes perfect sense, actually, I think, because, of course, the issue is that we are worried as Australia that, China might start cozying up to PNG, one of our closest neighbours, and so we must do something about it. And we've been providing them with aid and these scholarships, etc., to bring students to Australia. So if you give them scholarships and things that are utterly useless, they won't be able to go back to their nation and improve their nation, which means they'll be joined at the hip to us. And if China ever decides to go down there and think about taking the place, they'll realise in 5 minutes flat that there's nothing worth taking there and they'll go straight back to China. That's the only thing I can think of as to why you would possibly be doing this, because surely it is in the interests of Australia, if we're talking about a close neighbour, to potentially create a great trading partner, to create a country next to us that is stronger and with us, not a country that's full of students who came to Australia and studied gender studies and disability, etc. Like, I can't possibly see what it gives to us, let alone to them. And isn't that the whole point of making the investment?
It's just another reason why we need a Doge-style implementation here in Australia to go through all of our government spending, because, I mean, this is just one example. I'm sure if you went through all of our aid programs, you would find
a treasure trove.
Dozens and dozens of programs that taxpayers are paying for that are not helping at all, not benefiting, but ideological fantasies enacted by public servants in Canberra.
Indeed, and as we've talked about ad nauseum, China always has deeper pockets. So when it comes to us trying to cosy up by our friends, our neighbours, it doesn't work anyway, because China will always have far more money than us and get way further using the exact same mechanism that we're trying to use, which is basically buy loyalty, which is impossible. That will always go to the highest bidder, and the highest bidder will always be China.